For June the 28th, 2019, we talk about Cadence of Hyrule, Ace Combat 7 VR, and we ask you what games you've always meant to play, but never got around to. Welcome to level 289. My name is Cole Ross.
I'm Dennis Furia.
My name's David Meisman.
And my name is Ben Merkel.
And you're listening to The Level. It's a podcast for people who love video games. Thank you so much for understanding us missing a week last week. It was a kind of a last-minute call. Had to deal with a family medical thing that worked out just fine. So that is the good news. Yeah. So that's what was going on here. The real tragedy is, guys, my PS2 died.
Oh no!
Yeah, and I tried to do surgery on it. So I ordered a replacement laser, which is cheaper than I expected it to be. It was like $17, and cracked it open. You just have to use tiny screwdrivers to get at it. And I put in the new laser, and it kind of worked, but no, I just have to buy a new one.
Aww. Yeah, how hard is that to do now?
So what you end up doing is going on eBay and just doing a search for PS2 new laser modded. Okay. And you can get one for like $80. I know that is ridiculous because I could just go to a GameStop and buy a used PS2. The problem is, if that PS2 was made in 2009, like my current one was, may it rest in peace, then its laser may also be degraded and bad. So you just need to get one. Yeah. Get one with a new laser so the clock is restarted. Yeah.
Gotcha. And that's, I mean, with unless you've got the first generation PS3, that's one of the few devices that's not a PS1 that will play PS1 games.
Right. Well, so any PS3 will play PS1 games.
Oh, excuse me. It's the PS2 games that they modded out?
Correct. Yeah. It's the PS2 games that the first generation of PS3 had the capability to run through hardware, and then they changed it so it would be on a software emulation, and then they just got rid of backward compatibility entirely, which is dumb and bad. So,
but it's back.
What is?
Backwards compatibility for the PlayStation 5.
Oh, I didn't see that. I haven't really been looking at details about the PS5.
They haven't said much.
Yeah.
Wait, but only for the PS4, right?
Backwards, yeah. Well, yeah, I assume, yeah.
Yeah. That's.
But Cole, the reason I was thinking about PS1 games, I meant to text you. I didn't have my phone on me. I can't remember if I did or not. So sorry if this is a repeat. But I was cleaning out our basement, and there was a big box of DVDs, and I found the your copy of Silent Hill 3. No, the first one, Silent Hill 1.
It's Silent Hill 1. I think you texted me a picture of it, and I didn't respond.
That'll do it.
Yeah. The original one of those. Yeah, I would like that back. However, it's not stopping me from playing it. I've got it like the digital copy on PSN. But
yeah. I also found Saints Row the 4th, but you will never see that again.
Yep. I think I've got that on PC now. It's fine.
Damn it! Now I need to steal your PC. Why did you have to say that?
Please don't take my PC. I rely on it so much.
Fair enough.
Yeah, you need to borrow his PC.
Yeah, that's right.
It'd be very inconvenient. Oh, yes. So that's what's going on over here. Rest in peace, the PlayStation Slim that I got in 2011 after my original PS2. Its laser died. Oh, well.
Are you having a burial service for it?
No, that would be psychotic.
But which that sounds pretty defensive there, Cole. You sure about that?
My caseworker will not let me. No.
So I had to kill my caseworker.
And I'm having a burial for him.
And the PS2.
So can't you just like download or emulate those games or something?
Not reliably.
There's not a realistic enough caseworker in emulation just yet.
So I primarily use my PS2 for assignment stuff now. So we've got we've got the Samurai coming up on WoF, and I need to play that on PS2.
That is great. Have you played that before?
Only a little bit. I'm very excited about it. It's a really offbeat.
Amazing.
Yeah. And then also for streaming, right? Like I'm in the middle of streaming Haunting Ground, and like, yeah, I have to put off the last half of that game. Because, like if I try to emulate something like bullshit stuff for Abject Suffering will emulate fine. Something that people need to watch or something that I need to complete will just have like a little hitch in it that makes it so I can't actually use it. So it is better for me just to have original hardware.
Mm-hmm.
Not to be kind of like snobbishness kind of thing.
I'm surprised like the price of a PS2 hasn't like spiked. Like it seems like it's been long enough that it's now considered like a classic item. I don't know.
I think that might be the case if the things in it that if the things in the PS2 that went bad were not so easy to replace. I think maybe I just fucked up my replacement. But like people replace the lasers all the time, and that's like the consumable thing, like those and the motors for the disk drive and stuff. So like you can actually like make some changes as opposed to an older system where like in Genesis the transistors are literally like leaking because those only last for so long.
I feel like on the plus side, consider the fact that you are living in a world where I bought a replacement laser is a thing you say.
Yeah, I mentioned that in the Slack, and people were like, "Oh, wow, that's serious." I'm like, you understand that all these things have lasers inside them. It's not a big deal.
Careful where you point that thing.
Lasers, not a big deal.
So I was disappointed to find out that apparently any laser with sufficient power to like cut anything is requires extensive cooling.
Mm-hmm.
I went to make, I don't know, like a laser, I don't know, toast slicer?
Right. That would just flood your room with radiation.
As you do.
Yeah. Oh, I've talked about my stuff enough. Let's see. Ben, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm eating dinner right now off mic, so you might hear me with my mouth full, but that's about it.
Do you want me to ask how somebody else is doing and come back to you?
Say Fluffy Bunny. Say Fluffy Bunny.
Fluffy Bunny. I'm almost done. Well, I'm almost done with that bite, so it wasn't a satisfying one. Keep it up, though, Dennis.
Oh, man. Yeah. What's going on in your world, Dennis?
Oh, man, plenty. I'm about to go out on vacation next week, going out to Michigan near Traverse City for 4th of July week.
Cool.
Which should be great. It's my entire side of the family, so that should be fun.
Nice.
And then I've been doing pretty regular board game nights with a couple friends from my neighborhood. Come to find out, one of them has been working on a fairly complicated board game himself, like actually designing it. And he asked me one night, he's like, "Hey, you mind reading through this rule book?" And I was like, reading games rule book is literally my favorite thing.
Right.
Like my love of instruction manuals is well known on this podcast, and it goes like times 10 for game rule books. And so I've crossed a threshold of nerdery where I'm not even reading rule books for games I'll never play. I'm reading rule books for games that don't exist.
For games that no one has ever played.
Yes.
Have you been introduced to Dungeon Master's guides?
Yes. In a couple of ways. You got me, or excuse me, you got Luke. Yes, it was Luke. The Mouse Guard RPG, which I devoured. And there's obviously been the Lord of the Rings stuff that I'm actually using, so that's cool. But yeah, my appetite has been whet in a big bad way. And it's also been fun, kind of reading these in a Google Doc where you can like post up a comment and be like, "Hey, this feels a little overcosted," or, "I wonder if someone might abuse this mechanic," so blah blah blah. And that's just been a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yeah, if you ever want to see, sorry, this is tanging, but if you ever want to see some entertainment sometime, check out, go to some of the Wizards of the Coast forums and check out some of the min-maxed character builds people make for Dungeons and Dragons. And I think the worst I ever heard was in 3rd edition. It was possible to get a monk, basically a martial artist, that could transform himself to giant size, and so just like kung fu fighting with the strength of like Godzilla.
Nice. Yeah, I take solace in the fact that even in those big established RPGs, it can be fairly easy to find ways to break the game if you want. And in fact, that's in some people's entire, like, the way they have fun is finding ways to break the game. So
yeah, you just have to make sure that you've got a DM and a group that's okay with that.
Yeah, it takes the pressure off of making it unbreakable.
Yes.
It needs to be fun breaking, not mean breaking.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, for this particular character, I'm going to have to roll 75 dice. So if we could just clear the table. I've got a popcorn bowl. Let's get this going.
Oh, that's the thing, though, Ben. I was having flashbacks to our XCOM probability discussion. Like, probability is so hard to wrap your head around. It's just counterintuitive at every turn.
Well, when you get to the questions like that, it's just there's so many possibilities that it's like hard to, manage.
Yeah, it is just the mental gymnastics of like, okay, how do I write the equation? Like I've got the number of dice that you roll here, and I've got the number of them you can take there. So what's the average roll at each number on those columns?
Excel is very helpful for that.
Yep. Yeah. Well, even just figuring out the original equation that you can then drag across that table is daunting.
Yeah. I think every couple of years I'll get a question about this of like, hey, what's the probability of this game? Because your father-in-law emailed me about Yahtzee probabilities like I think half a year ago or something. Yeah.
That's hilarious. Okay, so you're due is what I'm hearing. So you and I need to talk.
I guess so.
Oh. How about you, David?
Not a whole lot. I'm now consulting at a new company, which is kind of cool. Although what is less cool is that it's not clear that they actually knew I was going to start in the week I was starting. And so I'm basically like I started on Monday. I finally got a computer today. However, I still don't have access to like a lot of the things I need access to, and people have said that in the past it's sometimes taken weeks to get that access.
Oh, holy crap.
So what do you do?
Yeah, so I'm just kind of just there, being there.
That's awful.
I focus on standing behind people quietly until they realize I'm there.
Yeah,
So your first act of consulting should be telling them how to onboard people, I guess.
Yeah, tell me about it. So, but yeah, so I mean that's, but on the plus side, seems like a really cool group of people. Also, they have great snacks, so at least I'm not hungry.
Every office having snacks now is the bane of my existence. Like I had not realized how much I have no self-control. I just rely on the fact that food is not around when I want it, and now food is always around.
Yeah. Oh, just find an office with bad snacks.
Yeah. These are all shitty grainy protein bars. What the hell?
Oh, that's like what was it? One of the big companies basically banned like no employee events are allowed having meat.
Okay.
It's one of the big Silicon Valley companies.
I don't know.
It's vegetable. Just all the vowels are removed.
VGTBL.
That seems plausible. That tracks.
Yep. Well, that's some banter. How do you guys feel about getting the show started?
Let's do it.
Okay. So we've got the regular kind of show for you. We're going to talk about the things we've been playing, going to hit up the multiplayer listener interaction portion, and then finish with some stuff that we are excited about. And that means we're going to get started with
The Grind.
The Brief, where we talk about the games we have been playing for the past period of time or so.
Isn't it? You said the brief, but I think it's the grind.
Yeah, it is the grind.
It's the grief.
It's whatever I say it is.
We're bringing it back, guys. No, it's just reflex. I did it that way for so many years. It's not an excuse; it's just an explanation. Yeah, this is the grind where we talk about the games we've been playing for the last period of time or so. Oh well, so let's see here. All of us were here last time, so
none of us were here last time.
No, I mean the last episode that we recorded.
Okay.
Yeah. So in that case, I think I'm going to do mine.
Yeah.
Go for it.
So the thing that I've been playing has been Cadence of Hyrule.
Ooh, I've heard of this.
I have not. So start from the beginning.
Okay. So this game, like, it was announced, flew under my radar, and then it came out and then kind of became my world for a little bit. So you guys know Crypt of the Necrodancer, right?
Mm-hmm.
The roguelike game where you're moving around from tile to tile to the rhythm of the track that is playing. And you are trying to manage and understand the patterns in which your enemies move so that you can attack them without being hit yourself. What Nintendo did was they got with the team that made Crypt of the Necrodancer and said, can you make one of those in the Zelda world? And so this is Crypt of the Necrodancer, but with Zelda theming, items, and music.
Nice.
Yeah. And what's really kind of neat about it, something that appeals to me more than the basic the basic Crypt of the Necrodancer, is that this isn't necessarily a roguelike, at least as far as I can tell. You are going around spending a lot of time on the overworld, and each screen kind of has a definitive challenge that you are trying to take over. When you die, you do go back to kind of a regular starting point, but the board isn't shifted around. So you can kind of take your accumulated knowledge about the geometry of these different stages and what enemies are going to be there and actually apply that to them, which I find very helpful. That and Zelda music is really, really good. So that helps out, and these are incredibly good dancey remixes of them as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
So
good.
I hadn't heard that this was like Nintendo licensed, because I found out about this at the same time as the Mario Battle Royale.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I thought everyone was just copying Nintendo games and committing piracy.
They can't get us all.
Fraud. Yeah.
Like they're just trying to exactly. They can't get us all. Okay, we're just going we're just going to overwhelm them. But yeah, this is really, really neat. It's on the Switch, which is, the way that I would like to play these kind of small indie things anyway. And I am looking forward to making more progress. And I have not played as much as I would like to, but it is quite good. Any questions about that?
Yeah, is this close to a pre-existing Zelda game at all, or are the maps like inspired by other Zelda games, or?
It is, I think, closest in aesthetic and fidelity to like Link to the Past.
Okay.
So it's got, like Crypt of the Necrodancer has a pseudo 16-bit kind of look to it. Additionally, you can play as both the girl from, you can play as Link. You start out as the girl from Crypt of the Necrodancer as she, kind of tunnels her way into Hyrule. And then you can choose to play as Zelda if you would like to as well.
That's cool.
Okay.
Is it rhythm centric enough that you worry about like input lag and stuff like that?
Yeah. However, when you start it the first time, it lets you do a calibration, and you can recalibrate it anytime you want.
That's nice.
So, playing it on the Switch in portable mode, I did the calibration and it was 0 milliseconds. So it is really tuned well for that experience.
Well, sure. And in portable mode, I believe it.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things where like calibration settings get in my head, and then I can never not be confident that it's not affecting the way I play, and then
Right.
I just get in my head about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's good. I have no idea if they have any other kind of collaborations like this, but this one, when they announced it, just made a lot of sense, and it is good to see that it was carried through in a way that I think does a lot of justice to it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is very cool.
The other thing that I've been playing, and I'll stick with just two here. Shit. I'm probably gonna do three. I'm sorry. This one is not. There's not an awful lot to say about it. So I got the Collection of Mana while we're talking about Switch game stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is. I don't know if it was released for anything else, but what Square had done was gathered up the first three games in the Mana series. So over here in the West, it was Final Fantasy Adventure, then it was Secret of Mana, and then what they are calling Trials of Mana, a game that prior to this was never officially released in the West. However, it was available in fan-translated ROMs for a very long time. I'm the only human in the world who got this collection to play Final Fantasy Adventure. Which is a game for the original Game Boy, the black and white Game Boy, that I loved quite a bit. And the remake that I played, Sword of Mana, is not very good at all. So this is, a top-down Zelda-like style thing, but with more heavy RPG elements. So, you are doing action RPG kind of combat, but you're gaining experience and you're getting money to buy weapons and things like that. And for me, a lot of the charm is that style of play mixed with the writing and general jankiness of an original Game Boy game.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah.
Now, were these... it seems like I remember some of the games in the series either straight up being co-op or at least having multiple characters.
Yeah, so Secret of Mana and I believe Trials of Mana let you do co-op. That seems like it would lend itself very well to playing on the Switch. You just have Joy-Cons and you roll it that way. This does not affect the game that I'm here to play though.
Okay.
Yeah. But like on the SNES, Secret of Mana at the very least was one where you could use a multi-tap and play with three people.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. Yep. Any questions about this nearly 30-year-old goddamn game that I'm in love with right now?
No.
It's almost as old as you.
Just about.
Oh, wow.
And speaking of black and white things, over the weekend, because my PS2 shit the bed, I started playing and I streamed the demo for World of Horror.
Okay.
So what you want to do, if you're listening to this or if you're on the call, is maybe look up some screenshots of this. World of Horror, it is an independent game that is not an MMO. The title would make you believe that would be the case. What it is a horror role-playing game that is styled after and styled to play like an old Macintosh game. So the visuals are all monochrome. So it can either be 1-bit or 2-bit, depending on your option. So either purely black and white or black and white and another kind of gray color in between. And the art style and situations are kind of straight out of a Junji Ito manga.
You're gonna have to explain that one.
More information than that.
Junji Ito is a horror manga artist and author whose primary work that people might know is Uzumaki. He specializes in absurdly disturbing body horror.
Oh, like Japanese cyberpunk type stuff?
Not necessarily cyberpunk.
Like,
He's mostly concerned.
Bullet Man and stuff.
I don't know about that, but like just really fixated on the plasticity of the human body. Lots of just horrible contortions and humanoid monster kind of deals. People, transforming into into horrible things, lots of gore and stuff. The demo is only one kind of scenario, but when you play it and when you run it, it's a little bit like running almost like a tabletop game, because you are in a situation and you make your decision about like what move you want to do. So like the situation that comes with this, you are in a school and you are trying to find the components to perform a ritual to banish this kind of ghoul who is walking around with scissors, basically cutting people to bits. But
so he's not running with scissors, right?
No. Yes. Weird Al made sure of that.
He's a monster, not a maniac.
So you're kind of making your decision. Like you're saying, do I want to take this turn to explore, to explore a new room, or do I want to, cast a spell, to heal myself, etc. And there's a combat system where you are kind of using your ability points and weapons and kind of perks that you gather throughout the situations in order to fight. It is really cool and good. The music is spectacular. It sounds a little bit more like an NES or a Genesis game. And it is just a huge win. Somebody in the chat said that the person who made this, it's a Japanese developer, drew all of the art in MS Paint, which, if it is true, that is ridiculous.
Wow.
Yeah, that's intense.
But just it plays out like a crunchy first-person RPG, but with this amazing aesthetic and, a subject matter reference that I happen to fucking adore. Like, I will buy and read anything by Junji Ito.
Huh. It's interesting. I'm watching little videos of it, and the character portrait at the bottom right will apparently, it looks like, acquire the wounds that are inflicted on them throughout the game.
Yep.
That's intense.
Yeah. And still to give a little sense of a little sense of maybe what some of this is about. You have different status effects, right? Where just depending on what attacks you, but it's not just like poison or whatever. Like I ventured into the school's pool, and a bloated undead teacher attacked me when I swam out to recover an item that I needed for the for the ritual. And if one of his attacks hits, what it'll do is just go up to your mouth and vomit a piece of flesh into it, and then you gain a status effect called bloated. And yeah, I don't know what happens, but I think after a certain number of turns, something explodes out of your stomach. Another one, I need to actually look and see if I can find the text of it, but the status effect is just holes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I have several of those.
Yeah. And one of the, let me see here, holes. With each passing day, more holes appear.
Oh no.
And the picture is just a hand with a bunch of holes in it. Yeah, it is good, disturbing stuff. I am crazy all about it, and I am eagerly looking forward to the full release.
As a side note, just because it's now reminded me of this, do yourself a favor sometime and look up Japanese cyberpunk, some of that stuff. I think that's something that would be right up your alley.
Yeah. You linked and you mentioned Tetsuo the Bullet Man. I'm aware of Tetsuo the Iron Man.
So that's another one in this series.
Okay. Yeah. Just where the guy decides to do a home, it's not particularly futuristic. It's in the movie, doesn't he he tries to modify his body by putting a piece of rusty rebar into his leg, and it turns into a big metal monster kind of guy.
Yeah. So it's cyberpunk in that cyberpunk is interested in the question of what separates man and machine and that sort of thing.
Right.
It's not cyberpunk in the sense of being sci-fi or corporate dystopia or anything.
Yeah, not like William Gibson Western.
Right, exactly.
Cyberpunk. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. Any questions about World of Horror?
Yeah, that looks really
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
Thanks for all the nightmare fuel, Cole.
Yeah. No, that screenshot that you posted, Ben, is it's not good. The skull clown is not good. Let's see, Ben, what you been playing?
Yeah. So following in David's footsteps once again, I picked up Assassin's Creed Odyssey and started playing that game. Yeah. I've only gotten through the first island. It's like the starting area. I think I'm maybe like 3 or 4 hours in. It's pretty good so far. I think the tagline I thought of for it is it's not a Far Cry from a Far Cry game.
Oh, yeah.
It's basically a Far Cry game. And you start off with a map. There's a bunch of question marks. You go around and resolve them. When I started the game, there was something interesting though. They said that there's like it's intended to play the game in this. There's 2 different modes you can play as, like traditional mode or exploration mode. And I thought it was going to be like with exploration mode, you kind of do fly by sight, and there wasn't going to be like a map or a radar or anything like that. And I don't know if I disabled it after I started the game or not, but there's clearly like a radar with like objectives like on the overhead like compass or whatever. So I was going to ask you about that, David. Did you play with exploration mode, or is there any mode like what I'm thinking of?
Yeah, so I'm playing in exploration mode, and I think it's kind of a relative thing. As I understand it, when you're not in exploration mode, it will just straight up like show you exactly on the map where you need to go. Okay. Whereas when you're in exploration mode, it will tell you where your objectives are in terms of like, oh, it's north of like the temple or whatever.
Yeah. Okay, then all right. Then I am in exploration mode. I thought it would do this for, like across the board.
No, see, it seems like it's more for like major quests as opposed to side quests.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay. So to clarify what this is at certain points during the game, like say you have a mission where you need to go find and kill 5 people. It only happens like 1 or 2 times in the game. Instead of it like saying like go here to do this, it'll have like 3 or 4 different facts where it'll be like they arrived on the East Coast. They decided to take up residence in probably an old house, like that sort of thing. And you have to try and narrow in on it from there. Okay, yeah, it could have. It was not what I was hoping it would be. I was hoping they were just going to turn off all the like UI.
Yeah,
because they did this the very first mission where you're playing as your main character. They do this where they tell you like what the objective is, and they're like, "Oh, it's by this statue, but it's just south of it." And so like you're literally just like, "Okay, I'll go to that statue and go just south of it," and then you find where the mission is. And I was like, "Oh, that's really sweet. I don't know how they'll be able to keep that up," and they weren't able to. So that answers that. Yeah. But the world's pretty good. Like even though like the missions are, they kind of seem again, I keep comparing it to Far Cry because it's very like bite-sized missions where it's like go here, kill this animal, or like go here, kill these 2 people, go to this base and kill everyone in this base. It's like that depth of gameplay, which is very shallow, a no diving depth. But the world itself is like really pretty. The like boats are cool. The way you interact with like you have 2 different animals. You have a horse you can ride on that's cool. Instead of like the Far Cry mode where you like zoom in and you can kind of paint people. They have a mechanic that's cool where you have a pet bird that you can fly over the map, and then that can mark different people, and so that highlights like the base for you. And apparently the bird, like you can't fly it low enough to interact with the soldiers. It's kind of like on a different plane. So that's fine.
Not until later.
Yeah, you can. I think you can upgrade it to fight people. Maybe. I have not done that. Or maybe there's other. I'm
just going to make a note here. Cool boat, cool horse, cool bird. Okay, yes. Continue.
Yeah. I mean, it's an Assassin's Creed game. They've made the right decision so far where they have not jumped to the outer world hardly at all. And that's what you have to do to make it a decent game. Because if you keep jumping between those 2, 1, you don't care about any of the characters. Yeah. And 2, like usually the outer world is like not very interesting compared to the actual Assassin's Creed world. So
right.
Yeah. So it's avoiding that problem, so that's good. There's still like a lot of like kind of like clunk, is that a word? With the game. Like the opening scene you play as, it's just like an intro scene to like ancient Greece or whatever. So you play as some famous Greek soldier. And
You're
there's
playing
like
as what's his name? The douche from
I didn't want to give it away, so who knows?
Wait, they literally tell you in like the first less than a minute.
I know. But anyway, you there's a big fight that you start off as, and so in front of you is like maybe 100 versus 100 NPCs, and then they ask you to turn away from that and go chase somebody down. Well, there's plot or something, I don't know. But I decided to just start killing the bad guys, and just like see how the game would react or whatever. And so I like worked my way through from one end to the other and then started working my way back. And I was happy to see that they weren't like infinitely respawning people. And so like after a while, it would start to be 2 of Greeks against 1 of the other people, or 3 on 1 after you like killed enough of them. I'm like, oh, this is really sweet that they like are letting you do this or whatever. And then like they just hard cut to a cutscene of my character chasing another character, and then I have to like fight him. So it's like not paying attention to what I'm doing in the game at all. So that was weird, I guess. But
on the plus side, eventually those sorts of missions come back.
Okay.
And that's how they do. Like you have to side with either Sparta or Athens. Mm-hmm. And it actually does become like you have to basically accomplish enough to tip the battle in your side's favor.
Okay, cool.
So they do eventually do something with that, but just
not in the first scene. Yeah.
Yeah.
The combat's pretty cool. One thing I was happy with is the kind of a wider variety of weapons you can use. Mm-hmm. You can use a spear, you can use a giant axe, you can use a giant metal ball on a stick. I don't know what that's called. Mace?
Club?
Mace-ish?
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's like a good variety of weapons. You can use, I think, like tiny little dagger, or like tiny like small swords or whatever. So like that's pretty nice. There's a good variety there. Upgrading is pretty mindless. I think it just randomly gives you an item of the next level up. So once you level up, then you can use all those items. The game in general is pretty mindless, but it's like a fun world to explore.
Yeah.
So
you can get some fairly over-the-top things with the character builds, depending on how you decide to do it.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there is one interesting mechanic with the armor that you wear. Is there's like 3 different tech trees that you can upgrade, and each of the armor will like randomly reinforce one of the 3 tech trees. So I think the 3 classes are assassin, hunter, and warrior. So like assassins like sneaking up, killing people. Warriors just straight up fighting people, not sneaking around. And then hunters like shooting people with bow and arrow from afar. That's more or less like what the 3 tracks are. Yeah, that seemed cool too. That seemed like a welcome addition to like kind of have those 3 defined pathways. Yeah.
Have you messed around much with the Sparta kick?
No, I haven't.
That adds a special something to the game.
I saw the cutscenes and the physics look very interesting with the Sparta kick. Like people just suddenly do not pay attention to gravity. They just go straight sideways once you kick them.
You ever kick someone so hard you turned off gravity?
Yeah.
It's very much like one of the big strategies you can use to like level the playing field is just kicking people off of like cliffs.
This is like the broken D&D builds we were talking before.
Yeah.
That's a level 10 kicker.
That's a tradition in the series. I mean, the majority of the killing I did as Ezio was throwing people off rooftops.
Oh, okay.
Or downstairs. Downstairs was the best.
Well, just tumble.
I think my favorite, though, for that sort of thing still goes to Hitman, where you could, like, lightly push someone, they would stumble back against the balcony and, like, inexplicably fall over it.
Just the earth forgot to hold them, you know?
You know.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I think I'm happy with the game. I think I got it on sale for like $20 or $25, but it's on console, which I'm happy to be playing a console game because I haven't done that in like forever.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a nice like post work activity to just kind of like sit down, relax, and play that game. So, so it's serving that purpose well.
Nice.
Yeah. Any other questions about that game?
Are you playing as the male or female character?
I'm doing the female, which normally I don't do, so I feel like a cop-out, maybe. Or I feel like I succumbed to peer pressure about it, but I don't know why. I do like that they don't like the characters are not whitewashed or anything. Like that seems nice that people actually look Greek. Yeah.
People actually look Mediterranean.
It does not look like 300,
Right.
So
that's funny.
Yeah. So I'll probably keep playing that game and update as needed. The map looks really big. They show all the map, so
that's good.
I probably have what I just did times 20 left in the game. So
nice.
Plus at least 2 major expansions.
Okay. Are those to be released or?
One of them either just released like this week or will be releasing soon. They released one that was Atlantis and then one that's like Hades.
Yeah.
Hades? Or is
Hades.
it pronounced Hades? All right. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, I might look out for those then too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The other game that I have, and this is something I already talked about, but I finished Slay the Spire. I believe the last time I talked about that, I was stuck on the second character. I have since beaten with the second and third character, and I beat the daily challenge that they have as to keep people playing after they've beaten the main game. Game is super fun. I don't know if I ever got the hang of like the strategy versus just winning by dumb luck of like finding the right items.
Right.
That was like maybe my one complaint about the game. But it was still a lot of fun, so I don't really begrudge it that much. I don't know. The third character is like a robot. It's pretty sweet. The ending deck that I had, I really liked. It was, I think I talked about this type of deck with the first character, where I had very few cards, but I had a lot of draw. And I remember saying that there's like one type of monster that's like really bad against that. I, for some reason, didn't have the problem with this character. I was able to kind of get around it. I was able to draw my way out of it, and it was very satisfying 3-hour run. So yeah.
Is there any game where card draw is not the most powerful mechanic?
I mean, Magic's arguably it's not the most powerful mechanic. It's a powerful mechanic, but it's like one of many strategies. I don't know.
There are many schools of thought.
Yeah, whatever. That game's great. It's on Steam Summer Sale, which we'll be talking about later.
Yeah, and it was just recently released on Switch as well. Like Humble has just started publishing stuff like that now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I think it's half off on Steam if anyone's interested in dipping their toes in the water.
I think I would be.
Yeah. You should, if you stream it, I will try and advise you. Like
I will judge you.
No.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice. Cool. Is that all?
That is all I got.
Gotcha. David, how about you?
Sure. So I've done 2 main things. Continuing on with playing with Jala, Greg, and Dulce on Vermintide. So we kind of, after our first playthrough was first round of playing, we haven't played through the whole thing, was fairly rough. We failed a couple of the missions a number of times, that sort of thing. But we seem to have kind of hit our stride, and we were able to beat the last 2 missions in the first act with on our first try. So that was kind of cool. It seems like a combination of us getting a couple of levels under us and, therefore being a little more powerful, and then also being able to adjust our characters to our liking, and then also getting more used to the game and how it works and the various conventions. But it's a lot of fun. It ends up with sort of a interesting boss fight, a character that basically can both teleport around the stage and then also can sort of shoot out these blasts of, gunk that knock you back. So it's a lot of just running all over the arena, chasing him down, doing as much damage as you can. So that continues to be a lot of fun. Continues to be a lot of fun in the different characters and in particular in their interactions. So that's kind of a good thing. I don't know if anyone has any questions. I've spoken about this before.
What does it eventually get kind of the loot grindy mechanics of the first game?
Yeah, it does. I would say probably a little more so, actually. In that, there's a lot more difference. There's a lot more variety in the weapons you can get that have a lot bigger factor in how you play. They also have added, you now have, I think, 3 secondary, charms and rings and something like that. And you have sort of an overall power level that's based on both your character's level and a average of the gear you equip. So I would say, overall, it definitely gets into that. The system for actually awarding gear, instead of it being, in the previous game, it was basically based on your accomplishments in the level, you got a certain number of dice. And then you, based on how many of those dice, showed up with whatever value it was looking for, you would, the number of those determine the quality of loot. Whereas now it's basically each thing you accomplish directly fills a meter that determines the quality. So it feels a little more smooth this time around.
That's good.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah. So a lot of fun. Definitely something I recommend. So other than that, I actually so Fallout 76 had a free weekend after E3 when they announced their Fortnite mode and the fact that they're going to add NPCs eventually. And so I played that and then ended up buying the game was half off. So I've been, kind of grinding on that a lot.
Nice.
I guess I kind of posted in the Slack some of my opinions, but basically the game itself, the core actual gameplay of Fallout is still very solid, and it's kind of, innately compelling. The problem, though, is that the storyline just fundamentally doesn't work without NPCs.
Yeah.
Do you have a dialogue system with yourself, like an internal dialogue?
There is no dialogue whatsoever.
You're going around looking at terminals to get your missions and stuff.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And so you do.
Wasn't the idea other players, other live players, will be your population?
Yeah, except that there's no text chat.
Right.
There is voice chat for the few people that use it, but no text chat.
Yeah,
but no,
and real people are not really that well written.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. Well, who
thought Weed Boner Lord 420 6969 would not be a poet laureate?
This is a tail spinner.
As you do. Well, the two things that are a little weird that like I didn't realize is one, there are robots around that you'll get like quests from, stuff like that, but they'll have dialogue, but there's still strictly no option for you to actually like say anything to them or make any decisions.
Okay.
Which both, isn't great from a storytelling mechanic and also, kind of limits how interactive and interesting they can make the quests. But the other thing that's a little weird is, it is true there's no NPCs and like that's, a valid thing, but probably a more accurate thing would be there's actually no humans other than other players.
Mm-hmm.
So that includes like there's no raiders, no like Brotherhood of Steel, literally the only thing you fight are, mutants, animals, and robots.
That is so weird because, just every Fallout game that I've played, the majority of what you're fighting is raiders.
Right.
Like, yeah, it's they roll up in their spiky leather and, give you hell.
Exactly.
It's I guess it and like you said, you've talked about this before, and I don't want to beat it to death, but it's just such a fundamental misunderstanding of what makes their own game fun.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and it even, and there's also times where just I don't understand why they took the no humans thing so like, I don't know, dogmatically, because there's times where it just blatantly doesn't make sense in that, you're still engaging with these various factions. You can join the Brotherhood of Steel, just for some reason you interact, the only people that are around are basically the robots and computers that they left behind.
Yeah,
that's still like, pursuing their goals.
Doesn't seem like there's an awful lot to stop
sense.
you. Yeah.
So, so I mean, it's just very bizarre. The other problem with it, and this is one of the big things I spoke about on the Slack, is, the end result of every mission you do, kind of by definition, every single character you read a log for, stuff like that, is dead.
Yep.
And the story that's kind of being told is the story of like how humanity came together and survived and stuff like that in the immediate aftermath of the war, which is really, really interesting. But the problem is just innately, and there's various ways that would be spoilers of like why this happened, but innately, like ultimately they didn't. Like, all the things you find where it's like, oh man, here's this heroic story of how we, established, medical supplies. It's like, except until you didn't, which, undermines what's a very interesting part of the lore that hasn't been explored before. But it also makes it so you can't really effectively have dark humor if everything is just utterly depressing.
Right. There needs to be some contrast.
Right, exactly. And I mean, because of that, a lot of the stuff is just straight up depressing. Like, just audio logs of like people committing suicide.
Yeah.
Or like, an audio log of a small child that's convinced that the war happened because he misbehaved in school. It's like, that's not like, entertaining or dark humor. That's just really sad.
Yeah. Huh. Good.
I was going to say, the other thing that seems a little off is a lot of the vault tech stuff and stuff like that seems like they've kind of, you know, I don't know, you know, oversold to just people just being straight up evil for no real good reason.
In terms of Vault-Tec kind of always having been evil super science, but the veil is lifted for this, like there's no pretense that it's anything different.
Yeah, exactly. And it just being, you know, in the past, if you look at, like, for example, the vault experiments, they were usually, you know, there were often things of, like, you know, the experiments were zany or had ironic elements, or things where, like, theoretically, if, you know, human nature wasn't what it was, like, the experiment actually wouldn't be harmful.
Yeah.
Whereas in this, like one of these experiments is just like, hey, what if we locked everyone in the vault, but secretly modified their food so that over time it slowly killed them.
Yeah.
It sounds like that one Finch game. It's just a series of things to make you sad.
Yep. What Remains of Edith Finch.
Yeah, that's the one.
So here's my question. You know, all four of us either come from or have spent a lot of time in the Ohio River Valley. The fact that it takes place in West Virginia is really exciting to me. That it was something that really stuck out to me because it's a beautiful area. Like, what does that setting bring to the game?
Yeah, so I think a couple of things. You know, I think one of the big ones is, you know, from what I remember, you know, the majority of the previous Fallout games, the settings were either fairly urban, or, you know, tend to be, if you look at, like, New Vegas, things like that, you know, kind of a traditional kind of Mad Max-esque, like, you know, desert wasteland type thing.
Right.
Whereas, you know, this time around, there's much more emphasis on, I guess, you know, much more rural, you know, forested, kind of outdoors sort of settings.
Mm-hmm.
And so that changes up a lot of the way things feel and, you know, the way things are presented. The other thing I'd say is, you know, similar to how New Vegas, you know, really sort of identified and took as sort of a theming the Wild West, kind of Weird West type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
76 takes a lot of the, you know, the Appalachian theming, and, you know, that ranging anywhere from, you know, they do a lot with the various, like, cryptids, so, like, the Mothman and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot with the
Can we just call
it
Weird West Virginia?
yeah, exactly. You know, they do a lot more of the kind of outdoorsy, so, like, they have their kind of in-universe version of the Boy Scouts, and you know, sort of those sorts of things. So that's really cool. It also strikes me as it seems like they put a lot of effort into. So there's kind of five, I believe it's 5 distinct regions of the game. It's one continuous map, but it's, you know, kind of 5 areas that tend to be, you know, all the enemies of, you know, a fairly similar level, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems to me they really tried to put an effort into using those different regions to be to depict different ways of seeing Appalachia, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So like the first area you're in is the forest, which is very much the the outdoor woodsmanship, kind of that aspect.
Mm-hmm.
And then also some of the hillbilly, or kind of whatever you want to say, kind of those sorts of aspects.
Yeah. The hollow. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you eventually get to areas that are more of like the I guess sort of resort. So like the ski resorts and like vacation homes and campgrounds and those sorts of things.
Mm-hmm.
And then some of the really interesting areas is there's two regions that are and one in particular that's very much focused on kind of the mining culture. And with the Fallout sort of approach to kind of the satirical capitalism, really revolves around both the the negative effects that the mining tends to have on the communities, and the ambivalence to safety, that sort of thing.
Right.
And then also a huge emphasis on the conflict between the workers and automation.
Okay.
And then also things with like pollution, stuff like that. So it seems to me that it's something where it has all of the things you'd kind of want to see, or kind of could be fun to experience from sort of a Appalachia setting.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it seems like it was very explicitly written to be thoughtful and sympathetic as opposed to stereotypical.
That's good.
So yeah, I'm interested to see. My understanding is that it delves into a lot more of the backstory in terms of kind of the Enclave and what led up to Vault-Tec and the war and things like that. Both because it takes place just 25 years after the bombs fell,
Right.
and also because I forget both what they call it in game and in real life. Is it basically the presidential bunker is in West Virginia?
Yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, but so like the place where like the continuity of government like actually is, both in real life and the game is there. So yeah, I'm interested to see. One other thing I realize I'm going a little long is the ability to place your camp wherever you want on the map. Is really interesting, and it's a lot of fun seeing other people's camps, and then also, kind of finding interesting ways to build your camp and ways to build it around the, existing architecture, stuff like that.
Oh, nice.
Can you build it as high as you want, like in the previous game before they capped it?
So I know they have a cap on how much you can build, and my understanding is it's fairly limited. I'm not sure about how high you can make it. I haven't really tried that, to be honest.
It seems weird that like one of the most successful mechanics of the game they like limit in the next game.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is just the constraints of like it being multiplayer.
Yeah.
But currently I'm in I have my camp set up in the kind of the mining district, and I basically have it set up in a place where I was able to build a titanium extraction system, which is one of the main like end game resources. So that's what you use to build a lot of power armor. So that's where I'm at. But I've seen just all over the place. Depending on do you prioritize, say, location? Do you build it? If you build it next to the presidential bunker, you then basically, benefit from all the assaultrons that are running around killing anything that gets too close. Do you build it near water? All those sorts of questions.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's more intricate than I expected it to be.
Yeah. It's it has a lot of potential. I hope they keep supporting it and it's able to deliver.
What a weird age of being able to patch games post-launch we live in.
Yeah.
There's a kernel there. I hope it's good someday.
Yeah, I mean, this time, honestly, I think it was kind of cynical in its initial state, but seems like they're trying to make it right.
Yeah. Cool. Well, is that everything for you, David?
Yeah, it is.
Cool. Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, I'll round us out here. I got 3 that I've been playing. And the first one is Ace Combat 7.
Oh.
Specifically, the VR mode.
Okay.
Is that how many times have you thrown up?
Oh, no, not at all. I'm impervious to VR sickness now. But it is just the most adrenaline-soaked experience I've had in VR so far. Yeah, just absolutely amazing. The downside is that there are only 3 VR missions.
Ooh.
And for the life of me, I cannot figure out why it is such a limited mode of the game, because the maps and the graphics in those missions, as far as I can tell, are not any different than what's in the main game. So I'm not sure why it was so limited. I'm sure it was just like we can have developers focus on the main game that 95% of people can play, or focus on the this side piece that 5% will really care about, and they just had to make the call.
Yeah.
But that is literally the one flaw of Ace Combat 7 VR, is that it's so short. Everything else is exactly what I wanted it to be in terms of an experience.
Have you tried downgrading to play the regular game, just looking at a flat screen like an animal, or?
Yeah, I have, and what I realized, I've played a lot of Ace Combat before. I think 3 and 4 were my jam for a long time, maybe 5, and then it's just been a while. So coming back to this, I actually played the regular mode for a bit before jumping into VR, and that's because they did an ingenious thing on the download where you can actually open the game and start playing the initial levels of the regular mode before the full game is downloaded. So that was nice, and it was just good to get my feet wet again, remember the controls, because the controls in VR are the same as in the regular game. But the second I went into VR, what I realized is you spend about, 4% of the game in VR actually looking forward. The majority of flying and combat, and especially dogfighting, is you're looking left, right, or in some direction, straining to get eyes on the target that you're chasing. And in the main game, that is kind of substituted with just a green arrow pointing the direction that you should be turning.
Right.
And which after seeing it on the VR side, feels so incredibly dumbed down. And it's a real shame, because I can go back and play it, and there's still a lot to love about Ace Combat.
Yeah.
But I'm craving more so much, and I wound up paying about $35 for the game. It was on the PlayStation sale. And I would say even though I only got the 3 missions, it was so incredibly worth it.
I mean, this is the kind of VR that puts you in the cockpit, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice.
And it's that kind of thing, you can lose yourself in terms of outside of just holding a controller and not a flight stick. It is the perfect diegetic reason to be sitting down in a chair while playing a game.
Nice.
It makes me think of the I guess there's a game coming out that you are a elite agent, special operative in a kayak.
Okay.
It's like in like the Florida swamplands or something, and you're infiltrating bases in a kayak. But it's like, okay, so there's a reason that I'm sitting the entire time and not moving.
Oh, that is ridiculous.
Yeah. But yeah, the immersion is great, and in no small part because the other thing this game gets really, really right in both modes is the radio chatter. And that's anytime, dogfighting shows up in movies and games, like that's the thing that makes or breaks it for me is the banter between pilots. And any good kind of dogfighting or flight fantasy kind of has that, people yelling at each other over comms. He's on your 6, watch the split S, and all that.
Yeah.
And it feels really good and is done really well in Ace Combat 7.
Nice.
Hey,
So that makes it
Trigger.
Exactly. So a super good design on the voice work and audio AI side, I guess. Although the plot itself, so on the micro level, amazing. The macro level, the plot makes no goddamn sense. I guess Ace Combat games all take place in a persistent world and like build on top of each other. Mm-hmm. And so I'm playing as someone, I think, I'm not confident in this. I'm playing as someone who lives in the country that is the dominant military power in the region, but that lost the last big world war, but has thrown off those sacrifices to start the next war, but they're actually the good guys because I don't know. But you're in a prisoner's base for your own side that is populated with it's like you just can't follow it. You can't think too hard about it. Go on planes and
the
shoot
whole
things.
prisoner thing is kind of laughably just pseudo evil.
Yeah. Oh, are you familiar with the plot?
Yeah. So this is one of the games I'm a big Let's Play fan for.
Oh, huh. Say more. Like, what makes it a good Let's Play game? Because I wouldn't have guessed that.
I think a combination of just it being fairly followable action. The fact that, like you said, it's very radio chatter focused, and then also the person I watched playing it was apparently a big fan of the series. So as it was going, was doing a play by play of like hey, here's what they're referencing and what
that's
this
super
means.
useful. Yeah.
Yeah, I need that. I need that as like a running commentary because again, I'm like 6 missions into the main campaign and I still have no idea whether I'm a good guy or a bad guy.
Well, and that I'm not sure that ever resolves just because I can't tell if the game is intending to be ambiguous or if there's, maybe some sort of like, cultural disconnect in terms of what constitutes, kind of, just war and that sort of thing. Or what's
I phrased
on.
it poorly. Let me try that again. I still have no idea which country I come from. So I get that not knowing whether or not you're a good guy or a bad guy could be intentional. I should know when they say Aruja or Ostia or whatever the other one is, if that's my home country.
I think you're Ostia, right?
Sure. I can't refute you.
To be clear, like I still, after the game is over, the woman who is inexplicably not you, but is the one in every single cutscene, I have no idea where she's from.
That's what I'm talking about. I have no idea who that person is from. Like the main characters are not the pilot that you fly as. Yeah, the main character is not.
I guess control. To give maybe a little bit of backstory. Like as far as I can tell, the reason like she's in jail with you is she was flying a plane when the war broke out, and somehow that de facto made her a enemy pilot.
Yeah, wrong place, wrong time, kind of deal. But again, I have no idea if she like her own military captured her, or if she was flying in enemy airspace before they were enemies, and they're like, hey, where are you with you? So now you're an enemy, or it's something. And maybe it'll become clearer the further I go in.
I'm gonna throw out an idea. Maybe they weren't focused on the story since it's a flight simulator game.
But I mean,
see, the thing though is they clearly are. That's what's so weird about it.
There's a lot of love put into it. I don't know if that equates to being focused on it.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
Does that follow?
People get really, really invested in it. I know that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's 7 games worth of lore built up on this. So, yeah, certainly it's working for them on some level. But just in terms of flight action, Ben, to kind of follow your lead back into relevance, it is some of the best flight sim action out there. It's the perfect blend of arcadey, while also still kind of feeling like this could maybe be something I could see in the real world. There's just enough like kind of fantasy elements in terms of like ships having not even magical, but kind of sci-fi shields or space elevators. Like it's just kind of on the edge of reality, which is kind of fun because then you never quite know what to expect when you're up in the air. Mm-hmm. And VR mode, even though there's only 3 missions, I'll go back and play them again and again. I've already played the first one like 3 times plus, so I'm getting my enjoyment out of it. I really wish they would just have some kind of horde mode like that. That would be the one thing. Just put me up there. Just start sending waves of enemies at me, increasing skill, and I will be happy forever. I just know it's such a small segment that it'll never happen, but it'd be nice. That's Ace Combat 7.
Not to at all hijack, but another just ridiculous thing that I find kind of love about the game is just the fact that your plane can carry just a ludicrous number of missiles.
98, so it's still double digits, yeah, it's a fun game. There's a multiplayer component for normal view, and I don't know if I'll mess with that or not, but that could be fun. Sorry, Ben, you were going to ask something.
Well, so I was trying to think of why like some of the maps would be limited to VR, and maybe it's like since you can look like from side to side really quickly in VR, like they might not be able to render certain maps completely versus others. That's the only thing I could think of. So
I would believe that, except the first map is over the ocean but with like heavy cloud cover, and so you're going in and out of clouds, and so that's not the problem. Second map, there are just a shit ton of enemies on. Like you're flying over cities that have lots and lots of ground troops and tanks and helicopters, and so there's a lot going on the screen at once, including enemy aircraft. So that's not the problem. And then the third one, you fight over a mountain range, which, my God, the opening that or one of the checkpoints of that mission, you realize that there are these stealth fighters coming in on you, and to like swoop low into the mountains to try to get under them and surprise them coming up the other side. Like it was just really cool. But so it's not like mountainous terrain. So if it's not one of those things, like too complicated in the sky, too complicated on the ground, or too many things on the screen at one time, I don't know what it is. And like I said, the maps, at least as far as I can tell, are just as big as the ones that I've been playing in campaign. So I'm confident that it's not as simple as just flip a switch and suddenly you can have VR and everything. I get it. There's something going on there. I just maybe I'll look up what it is just to get some peace of mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Ace Combat 7.
Cool.
Next one I've been playing is a game called Overcooked.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
And have you guys played this? So I'm playing the first one. The second one just came out, but I'm playing the first one.
I played the second one.
Cool.
I've seen it being played on Duckstream.
Okay. Yes. Good. Insanely fun couch co-op. So everyone is controlling a little chef down on the ground, and you get orders that kind of cue in at the top of the screen, all of which have ingredients that require you to pick up, to chop, and then usually to like bake or fry or stew in some form, and then combine to send a dish out the door. And you kind of have to work together with your other characters in various crazy layouts of kitchens in order to meet as many of the orders as possible in about a 5-minute chunk.
The kitchen that stuck out most to me was where like it was split in half and both halves were on the back of flatbed trucks that were not always like synced up with each other.
Yeah, there's that one, and then the sequel, quote unquote, to that is where there's 2 half flatbed trucks back to back, or nose to tail, and then one that's just driving back and forth between them at intervals. And it, like, yeah, so in general, the game is just some of the most frantic fun you will ever have. But fuck any map where you can fall off the side. That is like, there's a couple maps with the trucks. There's a couple maps with ice and water where you can accidentally slip off and fall. And not only then are you out of the game for like a 5-second counter, but you lose whatever ingredients you were carrying, and more dangerously, you lose whatever either pots or dishes you were carrying. You can always get more ingredients. You cannot get more cookware. And so if you want to screw yourself over real quick, just, stop paying attention for a couple seconds in an ice level.
Yeah.
So that is one part that feels punishing. Overall, the game is very light and just amusing fun. It's challenging, but it's nothing that after, 3 or 4 tries, we couldn't get the 3-star rating on so far. So I've been playing it with Jen, and that's fun. Let's see. What else do I have to say about that game?
How competitive does Jen get when she plays it?
What's that?
How competitive does Jen get when she plays it?
I'll tell you, it has brought out the best of Furia family teamwork. Like when we're running, like when we're clicking, it is efficient communication. You want to talk about the radio chatter? Oh my gosh!
Watch your 6.
Yeah. Watch your veg. But it's totally like, okay, I got fish coming up. You got the burger buns are over there. Okay, send this over. I got that. Okay. No, watch the pot's going. Get the free fight. So it feels very very on mission, whatever, purposeful in a fun way, while still being silly and fun. Your kitchen is floating on ice with walruses gliding by. You can't get too angry about anything. The one complaint I have is some of the most fun I've had in the game is when things go completely batshit out of control and you bring it back from the brink. So if you leave anything on the stove too long, it will catch fire. The fire will start spreading, and you have to go run and grab. There's one fire extinguisher in every level that you have to go get and put it out. And it's like we've literally just been laughing like crazy because everything has gone so off the rails. And even if you're able to stabilize, once that's happened, you're kind of just off track to the point that you're not going to get a good score no matter what. And so I haven't played the whole game, but what I would love is almost a kitchen that like starts at that chaos state. So you can have a little bit of that satisfaction of coming back from the brink without tanking your ability to score well.
Yeah, like starting a disaster map in SimCity.
Yes, exactly. That'd be nice. But other than that, no real complaints about it. It is very, very good in terms of representation. Just all genders, ages, colors on the screen, people in wheelchairs, etc. And it's everyone plays exactly the same. Which is fun to see.
Nice.
And so having the boys in the room being like, oh, I want to be this time, or I want to be that this time, and talking about, they're in a wheelchair, and all that is just, and having that just be a normal thing and not a disadvantage or whatever is kind of nice on parenting. So that's been fun. Overcooked.
Cool.
Any questions on that one, or I can go to my last one, which I'm super excited about.
I don't have any questions. That game looks fun. I just have never been in a multiplayer situation with it.
Yeah. When it's single player, it is you are controlling each person and you're switching back and forth between.
Ooh.
I did that for a time or two, and it just did not work for me.
Right.
Couldn't get into it. Final game that I've been playing is City of Heroes, which is an old ass RPG for circa 2006
to 2004.
2004, yeah. So I got into it around 2006, 2007, and I think it shut down in 2012. But we talked about it, I think, on an earlier podcast about how there's been like a secret fan server running this entire time.
Okay.
And so I was like, I wonder, I had so much fun with that game. I should go check it out. That's the first game I ever paid for, like online service model. First time I ever, not just first game, first anything that I ever bought online was a membership to City of Heroes. So I was like, I'll go back, I'll check it out, see what's going on. My God, that game is booming. Like you are just surrounded by people. There's 5 servers, I think, that you can play on. So it's not exactly big, but it is well populated. I've never had a second where I don't feel like it's a living world with plenty of people there that are invested. So really, really cool to kind of stumble back into this nostalgia trip and find it alive and kicking, albeit in a very reduced scale and fan-supported scale. Is it City of Heroes circa launch, or is it circa kind of its end with all of the expansions and stuff? I believe it's of its end. It's I think issue they did issues instead of patches. Issue 24, I think, is what it runs on. So if anyone's familiar with the game, that might mean something. I hadn't stuck with it long enough for that to mean anything to me. Right. But it feels like a lot of the rough edges are polished off. The starting quest lines, I basically recreated an original character of mine from when it was actually live. And the starting quest lines were slightly different than I remembered, but still well done. So what was your movement? Probably some flying, super speed, or super jump? There's only one right answer. First time around it was super speed, which was a mistake. I got flying the second time around. Because fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. I'm sorry. What's your answer? The correct answer is super jump. Super jump. I don't know what kind of maniac you are. Come on.
Although you have to have at least one person on the team with teleportation, just so they can teleport you to where everyone else is.
Yeah, that is helpful. So speaking of team, an MMO is meant to be played in community, and I must be the luckiest dude on earth. So the original character concept from 7 years ago now, no, even more, literally a decade ago, was this girl who had been taken by one of the street gangs that had like some occult stuff, technically sacrificed, but somehow survived and came back with superpowers. And like the big intrigue was like, what exactly happened? Like now she can control shadow, bend it to her will. But like, is she alive or dead? Is this like, did they succeed in their ritual or like fail or what happened? And so that like Schrödinger's Cathy. Is she alive or dead? What I went with was simulacra, because the simulacrum is like an imperfect copy, or a kind of a shadow of your former self, which fit thematically with the shadow and darkness and not being sure kind of who you are anymore. It was a very teenage angsty kind of character. As much as you can be in an MMO. But I joined the roleplay server, and I was running between missions and saw something that zipped out of the chat almost immediately. Okay. But I was like, what was that? And I scrolled back up and found it. It was only posted once. So it wasn't like it was spammed and I was going to see it regardless. Posted once, this thing called, hey, join Graveyard Shift if you are like a zombie or undead or vampire kind of focused character. Okay. It's a roleplay group. And I was just like, that actually fits perfectly. And so kind of got in contact with the person that posted it and just stumbled into this amazing roleplay group on the server. Like a guild? Like a guild, yeah. So the guilds there are super groups. Okay. And I joined when it was probably 20-ish people, and it's now ballooned to probably double that. It's grown really quickly. Awesome. Who knew? A bunch of people want to play undead themed characters. Go figure. Sense. Yeah. But what actual superheroes are zombies or technically undead? Blade, I guess, right? Yeah, Blade would be one. I'm positive they're X-Men who match
Wolverine. That. Really? I would argue.
Huh. I see your argument. But anyway, just a great group of people. The exact level of like intensity of roleplay that I can't say I was looking for it, but that I enjoy. So there, people spend most of the time in character and have a lot of fun with that, but no one gets pissed off if you accidentally forget to say an out of character thing in parentheses or whatever. Like everyone is super cool. And it's just one of those powerful experiences of like stumbling into a bunch of internet randos and instantly making a bunch of friends that I've ever had. Yeah. Like just really, really cool.
I bet you if somebody's gone out of their way to get onto a throwback shard of a dead MMO, they're probably going to be of a pretty similar temperament and disposition to you.
Yeah, no one tries that hard to troll.
Right.
Trolls by definition are kind of just find the lowest water plane or whatever.
Yeah.
They go where it's easy. Yeah, and in general, like the everyone I've interacted with, supergroup or not, has been very good natured and like you said, wants to be there, which has been a really cool experience. Minute to minute gameplay is fun. It's not as interactive as other MMOs. It shows its age in that way. You're mostly just kind of pushing the key, waiting for the attack animation to go, and then you decide what you want to do next, and nothing special. But the fun thing is the creation of heroes. And I don't know if you guys, David, I know you played it for a little bit, but the character creator is just incredibly detailed.
I love it. It's great.
And they had the foresight to know, like, all right, people are going to want to make their costume their character. So we can't have gear or armor sets determine how the character looks. You get to pick the kind of final, exactly how you want the character to look from the beginning and have that. And I have not yet found a concept that you couldn't create a really good approximation of through their character editor. So that was really cool. With that in mind, I was hanging out with Luke and Milo, and I was like, "Hey, you guys want to make a superhero?" And I was like, "All right, this is going to be just a fount of creativity here. This is going to be amazing, unbridled child imagination." I think I might have overwhelmed them with options. So they start off with I want a superhero. I was like, okay, cool. What do you want their superpowers to be? I want them to fly. I was like, well, shit. So then I had to explain to a 4-year-old how flight is actually a 10th level travel power, and they gate those out of the at the beginning just so they don't unbalance the game.
Do you want do you want to hover like 3 feet off the ground, son?
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, what else? We can give him fly eventually. And so then he went strong. I was like, okay, you're describing Superman. Well, we can do a Superman. That's fine. Right. Whatever. But got in there, and in the background as you're creating characters, I guess there's some art that shows kind of some of the potential builds or whatever on the home screen. And as we're going in to make a super strong character, and I was like, so how does he get strong? Like, what's the origin? And he's like, he pushes a button. Okay, that's I can work with that.
You can make it technological.
Yeah, exactly. But then he saw a character holding a mace, and he's like, "I want the spike ball." Strength went immediately out of the window, and it became all about the spike ball. So we wound up audibling to create a character around that. So he's got a big mace, and then I asked, like, what other powers do you want him to have? Like, how do you? Because there's an offensive power set and then a defensive power set that you can choose from. And so he's like, I want him to have a shield like Dauntless. So Dauntless, you kind of have just this blue energy shield around you. And because it is City of Heroes and the character creator is perfect, I was really easily able to find, oh, hey, here's like a protective energy aura, and I can make it blue. And hey, done. Perfect. Here's the shield from Dauntless. So for naming, because it's a spiked mace, we went with the name Spike Man.
Okay. And
his backstory is that he bought his metal and his weapons from a shop that sells superhero stuff.
That's great. I like that so much.
So much for the unbridled creativity, but for a 4-year-old, it's not bad. I'll share.
I thought about that comment, but I don't think any like closed-minded adult would make Spike Man. Like,
no.
Right. Well, and this is the thing. I couldn't believe Spike Man was available on the server. No one else had taken that name. So that was impressive.
I mean,
I'll upload.
In terms of a story, like I don't know, I'm like really interested in the store that sells superhero stuff. Like that is a good and fun concept.
Well, and in this world where like superheroes are literally like the entire population, of course someone could walk in and be like, "Yep, one superhero kit, please."
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
To be fair, he kind of went for this. There are in-game stores that sell superhero stuff. Like...
Yeah. So I put the image into our Slack. He kind of went crossing a dirt bike racer with the Statue of Liberty, kind of stuff.
God.
Which makes sense for Spike Man. You can't see his mace, but it's very color scheme and thematically in line with the rest of the costume.
I'll put this
in the
good. He's like medieval Master Chief almost, but with a cape.
Yeah. Yes, very much so. But again, this like the amazingness of this character creator. Luke wanted a cape that was about half length. There's like full length and half length. So he wanted a short cape that had lines of stars.
Yeah.
And the fact like I was able to just browse through and find exactly that is incredible. Like so freaking cool.
Yeah.
So I'm up to level 15-ish with my main out of 50. Level 2 with Spike Man. And having found a community in the game, I'm sure it'll stick around for a good long while.
Nice. Yeah,
That's
into
awesome.
it. Yeah, no, this is very exciting.
Yeah. The interesting nuance is like I guess NCSoft has decided like they don't want people sharing the code for their game, but since this group kind of has already stumbled onto the code and they're not sharing it with anyone, they're just using it.
Yeah.
NCSoft has kind of said like we're not coming after you, and it's all being maintained entirely for free.
Nice.
So, what a freaking awesome time to just find it again. Really
just
fun.
stumble. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So City of Heroes, that's me.
Yeah.
Multiplayer.
Now it is time for the multiplayer. David had to go, but he'll be back for the end boss, confusingly. It's just going to be 3-style for this segment. The question that I asked the nice people was, what game or series have you been meaning to get around to forever, but just haven't for whatever reason? When I posted this in the Slack, Phil said, "Can I just share my Steam library with you?" But I just want to learn about people's kind of, not necessarily like ones that got away, but like, I think that's interesting. Like, what do you want to play, but not enough but you don't want it enough to actually sit down and play it.
Yeah.
So Ben, get us started here. What does Steven say?
Steven says, Planescape Torment. Gary talks sugar about it all the time, but I can't seem to get the motivation to play it.
A lot of friction at the start of that game, especially if you're not used to the interface.
Yeah.
Dennis, what does Mike say?
He says, I've owned the full Game of the Year version of The Witcher 3 since forever, and every few months I circle around it deciding whether or not to dive in. Funnily enough, I went through the exact same thing with the other 2 games in the series and eventually played them to completion. I'm confident I'll get around to it someday, and I'll probably love it because I dug the first 2, but when balancing work, kids, marriage, and hobbies, it's daunting to commit to such a gigantic game.
It's big. There's a lot of it.
Just gotta give up sleep for a little while.
Yeah. Oh, Ollie writes, I have always wanted to play Mario Party, but none of my game groups seem interested. So that's like 20 years of blue balls over this series. Go see a doctor. That doesn't seem healthy.
What's worse than the blue shell?
Hopefully it doesn't drop explosively.
Yuck.
Oh no.
Ben, what does Christopher say?
Christopher says, the BioShock series for me. People have been yelling at me about how much they love them. Notable exception being Waff about BioShock Infinite. Of course, this is the new Dark Souls, is bringing up that Cole does not like BioShock Infinite every week. But even hearing people talk about all the games for years, I haven't really had anything stolen. Like, I understand that's some kind of crazy thing with the phrase, would you kindly? But it's so out of context for me. I have no idea what it means. Maybe one day I'll find out. Nice.
Maybe stolen is an autocorrect for spoiled.
Yeah.
That seems correct to me.
I just assume everybody who's not me is a lot cooler than I am, and that it was just a new expression. And I was like, oh yeah, all right, adapt. Yeah. Don't steal me.
Nice. Yeah. Nice thing about BioShock is, it's like 10 hours and play it and you're done.
Also, Christopher, you could just play 1 and Infinite and be done. You don't. Two's fine, but I'm just saying if you need to get through the series and you got to cut 1.
Yeah. Two is kind of relegated to a sideline, which is a shame, at least in terms of the story and what have you. Dennis, what does Austin say?
He says Deus Ex series of games. When these games came out, I was always on a fishing boat far from land, so I could never buy them at release, and then I would forget about them. I would remember them years later, and then think maybe something so dated would not be fun for me. That'll get you.
I think the original Deus Ex holds up.
Really?
Yeah. Just my opinion.
I've played where they had like a Homecoming or a Human Revolution or something like that.
Yeah, Human
on
Revolution.
PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So I dipped my toe in there, but otherwise I've missed this series as well.
Yeah. Yeah, they just the original Deus Ex did enough that was pretty forward looking that I think you're gonna like recognize a lot of it, and it will feel more modern than you might imagine given its release date. Yeah. Devin says, God of War. Haven't played any of them. I love mythology, and the combat system is right up my alley, but never got around to it.
Yeah, you should play that.
Fortunately, it seems like Sony is invested in always re-releasing that series for its most modern system, so...
Yep.
Yeah.
Just as the sun rises and sets,
yeah.
and as the Spider-Man will come out every 3 years.
Yep. Let's see, Ben, what does Greg say?
Greg says Stardew Valley. I love Harvest Moon games, so it's a no-brainer for me, and it's sitting on my HD, but I've been afraid to start playing it due to lack of time and the fear that I'll get sucked into it and can't spare the time right now. Maybe next week when I'm on vacation. That
is a valid concern.
Don't worry, you can be on vacation anytime you play Stardew Valley.
Yeah. Maybe having it on your PC will make it so that you do not get sucked in as hard as if it was on demand with you all the time on a Switch.
It's it's $15 on the Switch. I might be getting it for plane rides, so yeah. We'll see.
Yeah. But yeah, Stardew Valley, like of all the things that I think like, man, it'd be nice to sit down and, just kind of like play this anew. That is one of them that is always like sitting there for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Let's see. Dennis, what does Warren say?
He says Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. I've heard tons of great things about it, but I've also heard the combat is really rough, and combat is one of the most important things for me in that type of game. Yeah. And I think this is an interesting take on it. The like, I love the idea of this game, and I know playing it will ruin it for me.
Yeah. Especially trying to run it on a modern system. There's just an awful lot of work that you have to do to engage with the good parts of that game, including dealing with the bullshit combat. Wasn't
there a bunch of articles recently about a new vampire game coming out?
It was a big announcement. Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2 was announced. It's coming out, I think, later this year. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So hopefully, maybe that'll smooth off some of the rough edges.
Yeah. And I am horny for it. So, yeah. Let's see. Why don't we, for the rest of these, why don't we lightning around it? Jonathan says, Bloodborne, but mainly because I don't do consoles. That's a bummer. Bloodborne's good. Ben, what does Lucas say?
Lucas says, Fatal Frame and Silent Hill. I admire the series from afar due to the love of all the horror, but just haven't found the means of really getting in them.
No. For Silent Hill, see if you can track down a copy of Silent Hill Shattered Memories.
It's a good intro, yeah.
No, just because it is kind of standalone. Play it on the Wii if you can. And then Fatal Frame 2 is easily acquirable on PSN.
Oh, go ahead.
Good.
I had Fatal Frame, I think it was on Xbox when I was living with David and he had an Xbox. And I had it like out and was intending to play it the next day. And then that's when our apartment got broken into.
Damn it.
Oh, got stolen. It was that close.
Oh, that's a rare version of that game too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Dennis, what does Michael say?
He says, I just got a Neo Geo Mini to play Japanese arcade games from way back. Samurai Showdown was a series I knew but never bought. I always played King of Fighters. Now I got them all.
Nice. So it sounds like that was something that you hadn't played, but now you have the ability to. Yeah. Dan says, Tyranny. It looks like everything I like. I've downloaded it and installed it, but haven't got it off the ground yet. I know once I do, I'll get sucked in. And that's really similar, related to Dan's here. Most early CRPGs like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights, Fallout, Torment, etc. Yeah.
I like the 3 flavors of answer we've got. So there's like the haven't gotten around to it. There is the I know once I play, I'm getting completely sucked in, so I need to pick my shot. And then there's I really like the idea of this game, but I don't want to ruin it for myself.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my answer for me, that's why I chose the header image for this, Yakuza. Specifically, I've just been meaning to start with Yakuza 0 and go through the series because they've done all those re-releases. I love the original Yakuza. Had a great time with it when we played it for WoW. But, that's just a spicy meatball. And most of my game time is, consumed by assignment. So, yeah. Yakuza. Ben, how about you?
I'll say Persona, particularly Persona 5, this game that like everyone gives glowing reviews for, but it's just like, man, it's going to be a lot of combat. It's going to take forever. Yeah. I don't know.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, for me, it's Metal Gear Solid. For someone who loves PlayStation as much as I do, I feel like I've missed too much and have too much to go back to really, enjoy. So in some ways I am relieved by Death Stranding because it's when I can be on from the start.
Yes.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. That always was the strangest blind spot on your part. I'm not criticizing you. It just, I forget when we're talking that you don't really have a background with the series.
Yeah, it's like I've accrued enough references to get by in conversation.
it's like me with sports.
It's like Ben with Would You Kindly.
Wait a second. I know Would You Kindly.
Cool. Thank you everybody for responding to that. Sorry that we kind of rushed it toward the end, but this episode is going a little bit long. If you would like to participate in the future, consider going to facebook.com/thelevelpodcast and watch for those prompts to go up on Monday afternoons.
The end boss.
Now it is time for the end boss, where we talk briefly about things that are exciting, in video games right now. David, what's got your interest up?
Sure. So this is going to sort of be a play off of what I did for the grind, but a event in Fallout that I thought was kind of cool. Currently, apparently. Earlier last week was official West Virginia Day.
Okay.
And in order to celebrate it, the game basically released some stuff from their cash store for free, and then also added some additional kind of West Virginian themed stuff. So yeah, just I don't know, just struck me as kind of entertaining to see them, sort of committing to the theme they're going with.
Yeah, it's good. Like this is the most they've seemed to be like committed to integrating with the setting of a game. It feels like, and yeah, well,
yeah, definitely.
West Virginia deserved a break. Just in pop culture.
I mean, they knew they could at least do a special event for it.
Well, which is also funny because West Virginia actually kind of doesn't exist in the Fallout universe.
What do you mean?
In the Fallout timeline, at some point before the war, basically the government decides that they're tired of the South complaining about what laws that California wants to have and stuff like that, and they basically condensed down to 13 states effectively. So like technically like Ohio, West Virginia, I think Kentucky, something like that, are all the same like macro state.
I didn't know that.
So, yeah. Random thing that does. That's why like none of the American flags in game have they all have 13 stars.
Oh, nice.
Huh.
Yeah, I had no idea. Let's see, Ben, how about you?
Mine's just going to be a Steam summer sale. Strange Brigade. It's $12.50. Should I get it?
Yes.
All right.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
For the headshot sound alone.
Yeah, but in general, I'm just excited about that for the next 2 weeks to see if there's any good deals.
Mm-hmm. There are plenty. Polygon has a list of their kind of recommendations. You know, like, hey, these are good deals on good games, kind of things. So I'm going to peruse that. Since mine is kind of related, but not so much. It's not a specific story, but like, how ridiculous is this week in video game releases? Speaking specifically, like June, usually stuff just doesn't happen. But this week we got The Sinking City. We get Super Mario Maker 2. And then earlier this week was something that I was excited about until I read the reviews of it. But the Switch port of Bloodstained.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, apparently that port is bad, so I'll just get it on PC or whatever. But like, I don't know, that's like 3 big games that I am super excited about that come out in the same week, and that happens to be at the end of June.
Well, it's nice to have it right as you go into 4th of July week.
Yeah.
I had not heard of The Sinking City before.
It
looks Cthulhu-based.
It is.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah. Kind of an open world investigation based game that is heavily inspired by and pays homage to Lovecraft.
Sweet.
Yeah. It looks really, really good. Yeah. So I just wanted to gush about that. What a time to be alive.
I'm excited about in November, like 3 different games are coming out that all look good. I forget all of them off the top of my head, but I know Death Stranding's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
Does anyone know what that game's about yet?
We'll figure it out.
Moving from place to place.
Bridges.
Yeah. Ladders.
Babies.
Dennis, how about you?
Yeah, so this week I learned that Deathgarden is a thing. And it is
That looks interesting.
Yeah. Asymmetrical co-op / adversarial survival game, which is just like all the buzzwords to make me excited.
Okay.
And not only does it exist, but apparently it's pretty good. And they recently fixed one of the kind of mechanics or systems in the game that was kind of incentivizing not so fun play. Basically, there's one really powerful hunter. If they down someone, they can immediately kill them and take them out of the match for good. Or if they kind of toy with them and let them go for a time, that can be actually a boon for both the hunter and the scavengers, they call them, in terms of XP. So this is, you progress and level up as you play in the game, and it's better for everyone on that front if the hunter lets the scavenger go. However, there were just too many hunters that were like, yeah, but I win if I kill them, so I'm going to kill them.
Yeah.
Which wasn't like, yes, you got the W, but it wasn't the most efficient way to level up, and it wasn't as much fun for anyone. So they've kind of changed that system so that everyone gets kind of one free down, where everyone comes back automatically once, which hopefully will level some of that off. But just asymmetric games I will always be excited for.
Yeah.
This is made by the team that made Dead by Daylight, right? Or Daybreak,
Correct.
Whatever.
Yes.
Dead by Daylight. This game has 2 names, Deathgarden, Bloodharvest. If they want to hire me as a marketing consultant, Bloodharvest is the stronger main title.
Yeah.
Deathgarden can be the subtitle. So swap those 2 around and you got yourself a hit.
I can't say you're wrong.
Yeah.
Wasn't Bloodharvest? Wasn't that like some cult game for the N64?
You're thinking of Body Harvest.
Yeah. As you do.
So yeah, how do you guys feel about buttoning it up?
Let us button.
All right.
The credits.
Thank you so much for listening to level number 289. Really enjoyed having you here again. Thank you for your patience in, with us missing last week. I don't like to do that too often, especially after we already missed for a holiday. But
it's a rare square number podcast too.
To square number?
Yeah, 17 squared.
Okay. Huh.
Holy shit, we have enough episodes to do 17 squared.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Big numbers, intimidating numbers.
It's bad podcast juju. I don't know if you heard it here first. Square numbers are actually bad in the podcasting world. In the biz, is in the pod biz, as we say.
Yeah. Is 289 prime, Ben?
If it's a square number, it is not prime.
Fuck me. Oh my god. I want to.
All right, cool. Let's end this so you can go to bed.
Yeah, no. I'm going to go put my head in a bowl of acid.
Oddly enough, there is a square number that is also prime, which is 1.
Yeah, no.
One's not a prime number. Prime number service 2. Get out of here. You're all failing my math class.
God, that is such a fucking ignorant question that I asked.
No. Honestly, because a lot of people say like it's prime if it's divisible by itself in 1, but never mind. It's square roots. Never mind.
Right. Yeah. Nope. Blah. Oh, well, additionally, on other shows, we talked about Duckfest. If you're interested in attending Duckfest, that will be August the 31st. The tickets are going to go on sale on July the 1st. And watch the social media for that, a day of Duckfeed podcasts. Not all of them, but enough of them out in Portland, Oregon. But yeah. Thank you so much for listening. We would like to see you next week. Am I forgetting anything, fellas?
I don't think so.
All right. So I have been Cole Ross. You can watch my streams on Twitch at Duckfeed.tv.
I've been Dennis Furia at GreenLaser73 on Twitch. David is behind you.
Silently waiting. Yeah. And I've been Ben Merkel at MerkelB on Twitch.
Yes. David had to duck out. So,
is that fun on the podcast network?
No. I just said he had to leave because of work stuff. I just wanted to make sure people knew he wished. I didn't want it to be like, oh, we disappeared him in the middle of the episode and we never refer to him again. Not not part of the plan. And stick around for some titles. Who has titles?
I have title.
4. Ooh,
okay, Ben, what's title?
I have emulated caseworker.
Okay. Dennis.
I have lasers, not a big deal.
Okay, I have that as well.
I have they can't DMCA us all. I have cool boat, cool horse, cool bird.
Okay, I have that as well.
And then I have what's worse than a blue shell.
Oh.
I have I also had lasers, not a big deal. Cool boat, cool horse, cool bird. I have watch your veg. And then I also have Schrödinger's Cathy, which is incredibly good. And I might push for that to be, even though it's not a vote winner.
I'm fine with that. Yeah.
Ben, are you fine with Schrödinger's Cathy?
Sure.
Okay. Cool. Well, I'm going to go to bed.
Yeah, good stuff. Have a good night, guys.
All right. Take care, everybody.
Have a good week, guys. Thanks for being accommodating too for Wednesday night and everything.
Oh, it worked out better for me.
Nice.
Sweet.
Cool.
Peace.
All right. Take care, everybody.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.